Welcome to Spiritual Dialogues with Father Udon de Castro. We are here at Cariana Lay Monastic Community. I'm your host, Brother Lodi. With us is Sister Tachi. Sister?
I was just thinking, Father, a pope is supposed to bring us to heaven, help us anyway. This one is not going to bring us straight to hell. And there seems to be no, he's not wavering at all. He seems to be very sure of his direction, Father. Oh, what does, why, Lord, why, I'm asking, Lord, why did you give us this? There must be some reason.
Well, because the Lord did not give us this.
No, right?
No.
That's what I was saying. Maybe, I guess he didn't.
There is also what you call a permissive will.
Okay.
Yeah,
He allowed it.
Like Judas. You know.
Okay.
God did not really do that, what Judas did. He just permitted that.
Okay.
So, we have discussed the third source of confusion surrounding the personality of Pope Francis, and this is his reaction to the letter of Bishop Bigano, wherein the bishop told him, look, the whole Vatican is filled with rottenness. Try to solve it, cure it, solve it, because the Catholic Church has a solution, a medicine for all these kinds of sins. And Pope Francis, instead of solving it, just covered it up.
Okay.
And encouraged the sin to continue.
Okay.
Instead of applying the medicine, instead of curing the sin and so on, he just covered it up and encouraged everybody to continue in their sin. Now, if you were a sinner and you would like to be saved, as you were mentioning, how do you expect the people in the Vatican to save you when they cannot even save themselves?
No.
When they cannot even solve the corruption that is going on?
I don't think they intend to. Did they want to?
The point, it looks like they had no
intention. Okay.
Well, to enjoy this confusion going on in the Catholic Church, let's add one more.
Oh boy. Yes, Father.
Because we have to know that there is a confusion, because if you do not know that there is a confusion, then you're really in bad shape.
That's
We have to know at least that there is a problem. The latest was written down by a very important person in the Vatican, because he used to work in the Congregation of the Doctrine of the Faith with
Pope
Ratzinger before,
Yes.
with Pope Benedict. And lately, he's in charge of the Congregation for Causes of Saints, the canonization of saints. He's a good theologian, a very important position in the Vatican. He wrote an article showing that in the last conclave that elected Pope Francis, they violated a very important provision written by Pope John Paul II, in which Pope John said that if these provisions are violated, then the election in the conclave is invalid.
Null and void.
Null and void. Okay. And this Monsignor proved that in the last conclave that elected Pope Francis, they violated all the provisions in that decree written by Pope John Paul II. And so his conclusion is the election of Pope Francis is invalid or annulled. It is
Okay.
it is not valid.
Yes. Null
So
and void.
he's not the
Nothing.
real
He's not a pope.
He's not the real Pope. And therefore, he's introducing the fact that since he's not the real Pope, then the previous Pope is still the real Pope.
Yes. He's still alive. He's
So
still
now
there.
we have another confusion. Who is the real Pope? Pope Benedict or Pope Francis? Now, his treatise on the fact that the cardinals violated, those who were proposing Pope Francis as the Pope, violated the provisions of the conclave, is very clear that it was. It's a group called the St. Gallen Group.
Saint
Gallen Group, because they used to meet in a Swiss town called St. Gallen. And these are cardinals.
Okay.
And he mentions the name. So we know all the names. And not only did these cardinals really do it, because these cardinals themselves were bragging that they did it.
Wait. The cardinals that met are the ones who connived to have the Pope.
To connive. And that's forbidden. That's forbidden.
I see, okay. This is not the one speaking now. The one exposing the whole thing is...
Those are another one. Those
That's
are the
a
good one. The four cardinals are very good. The dubia.
Okay, no, that one. How about the one exposing the conclave, the error?
That's another priest.
Okay,
Priest.
okay.
I don't know if he's a cardinal because they just call him archbishop or bishop working in the congregation in Rome.
Yes.
I did not notice whether he was a cardinal.
Okay. But he said that there were this group who were meeting secretly at the St. Gallen.
Yeah.
Okay, conniving to do this.
Like
Okay.
Daniel.
The names were really there. So it's clear.
It's clear, and not only is the proof he presented really proven true, but because these very cardinals had been bragging that they were campaigning for Pope Francis, for Bergoglio at the time.
That's not allowed.
And not only that, in the very biography of Pope Francis, it is written that Pope Francis was thanking them publicly for having
elected him.
pushed
his election.
election. Yeah.
Oh.
So in other words, there are proof that it really happened, that they violated the rules of the conclave, and therefore, as the decree of Pope John Paul II states, the election of Pope Francis is invalid.
Okay.
So there is another confusion. So what are you going to tell the people? Who is the Pope?
No, I'm not confused.
So
He's not the one.
so everybody's going to give their own opinion.
Okay.
And most of the Catholic bishops believe that it is Pope Francis. Most of them believe it's Pope Francis. And if this writer is correct, then all our bishops in the Philippines are in schism together with Pope Francis.
They all believe. They all believe him.
I think most of them believe, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, those who do not believe are not showing it
Right,
because they will be unpopular among the bishops. But most of them are vocal that they are on the side of Pope Francis.
So everything that he says, they agree.
They accept that he is the Pope.
Okay, so everything that he says?
Of course, they will agree with everything that he says.
Okay.
If he believes that he is the Pope, when he is not,
Yeah.
they are in schism because they
Of
belong
course.
to the wrong Pope, not to the right Pope.
Yes. Oh, so, yeah,
So
well, I know what you mean, Father. In other words, those who are not, they just hear about it, they really will be confused.
Yeah. And they don't read this news. They don't read it. In fact, I bet you not one of the bishops, the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines, has ever read this news.
This latest one.
This latest
one, that the election one.
Oh, even the dubia, most of them do not even...
They know about it.
They know nothing about it. And Vigano, they don't know anything about it. And now with this bishop, Bux, his name is Bux, B-U-X.
Okay.
Nobody knows, I'm sure.
Oh, so they'll remain believing what they believe.
Exactly. In other words, they're going to be teaching everybody in their diocese, in their parish, the wrong thing. So we have an entire Catholic Church that is ignorant of the Catholic faith.
Yes.
So what will happen to the community of Christians who believe in the Catholic doctrine?
Well, what's happening is that, as St. Thomas of Aquinas says, the Catholic Church is become what happened in Vatican II. They call it synodality. Synodality.
What does it mean, Father?
In other words, every bishop's synod
I see.
is independent from one another. Independent.
But that is dividing the dioceses.
Well, that's precisely the heresy of synodality. That every synod of bishops can decide what is the truth and how to go to heaven. They can decide whatever. So what's happening with synodality, which is now being introduced by Pope Francis and being accepted by most of the bishops, called synodality, is transforming the Catholic Church into a Protestant sect,
Yeah, were you?
a church of 1,000
Beliefs.
Protestant sect.
With different kind
Beliefs.
of teaching of the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Whatever
its
you want.
synod is
Yeah.
going to be a Protestant sect.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And yeah. And all
There
the
will be a terrible confusion, Father, because one day says teaches, while the other one disagree with the teaching of the other one.
Yeah. I mean, if you just look around right now and look at the way Masses is celebrated, almost each diocese has its own way of celebrating Mass.
oh boy.
And the way they do their homily, Father, I cannot take it.
Well, it's hard to discuss that because we haven't heard most of their homilies. Yeah. But you're right, Brother Lodi.
Every Sunday, I normally listen to the preaching, to the homilies of,
Of
the
course,
Catholic
and radio and television.
yeah,
Yeah.
television. And I find it so, there's a great difference between attending your Mass, this Mass in Gariana, and the Masses outside of this place.
Yeah. And so we might end by quoting St. Thomas of Aquinas, who says that, during this time, he was commenting on the Gospel of the Mass before and after Christ the King, all those Gospels, plenty of Gospel. He was saying, during that time, in a Catholic family, that you call Catholic family, like yours, Brother Lord.
At this time of Christ the King. Okay.
Each member of the family will belong to different Protestant sect and different pagan religion without knowing it.
Yeah.
But if you sit down and test them, they will belong to different Protestant sect and different pagan religion.
Because they interpret wrongly, or they have other interpretation
Okay,
of
different
what
beliefs.
is written in the book.
Different beliefs, no?
They're deciding what to believe.
And
They're deciding what to believe, what are the truths they want. All the Catholic religious orders are all different Protestant sects within the Catholic Church.
Now.
Their beliefs are all different
Yes.
from one another. The Jesuits believe differently from the Benedictines, from the Dominicans, and so on. Sometimes they don't even get along.
Before this program, I asked you, Father, the real problem of humanity. And we should focus on how we can save humanity from the present situation, from the present confusion in the doctrine and interpretation. What's wrong with man? And how should we approach, how we should cure the illness in man?
That is a question in which the answer is the entire teaching of the Catholic Church.
Yes, if they have that conviction, then
Can
they
you
will
make
not.
it simple for
Yeah.
us to understand?
We have to make it simple just to answer Brother Lori's question.
Yes.
To the question, what's wrong with man? He has a fallen human nature.
Yeah.
And with that fallen human nature, it is inherent in all men to choose the way to hell, to choose always the ways of the devil, of Satan. Just as Adam and Eve did. When you have fallen nature, that's what you're going to do. You'll go to hell directly without any help from the devil.
How do you cure this fallen nature of man?
How do you cure? So God the Father sent His Son on earth.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And the Son taught us step by step what to do to overcome that human nature and save our soul. And that is found in divine revelation as correctly interpreted by the fathers of the Church.
But now, Father, seemingly there is some kind of confusion in the Catholic Church on how to follow the teaching of
truth.
Christ.
Yes. And we pointed out the reason. Because those who are supposed to teach,
They're not.
the bishops, the cardinals, and the pope, are not teaching the right thing.
My God.
And secondly, the pupils do not know how to learn, how to study.
Well, what we should do is to continue listening to this program so that we will know, we will be guided on how to cure that kind of illness, that kind of confusion we have in the Catholic Church, which is based on Christ's teaching. Thank you very much for watching Dialogue with Father Udon de Castro, Spiritual Dialogue. Please continue so that we will be properly guided on what to do so that we will have so that we will be called Son of Christ. Thank you very much.
Hosanna, Hosanna.